Welcome back to Supernova Labs. Per request, I've seen a bunch of people asking about some of the art we've been producing for Castleborn, and wanted to run you through exactly how we're doing it, because it's all very interesting. It's like all very new as well, so I'm still learning it myself, but wanted to introduce you to MidJourney, as you can see on the screen. So love this like ASCII aesthetic, absolutely phenomenal. But it's in beta at the minute, and it's an AI algorithm that you can use to generate art. So you can just sign in via Discord, and you can see all of these different pieces of art that have been generated. I mean, I've been doing this space plane, so there's quite a lot of these, but the further down you go, you see beyond a certain point. I've been doing, what do you call it, modern body armor, spacesuits, the self-image of the AI, which is kind of interesting. Some typography stuff, like space age typography, as well as some like kind of retro-futuristic art as well. Some book covers, more space stuff. But further down here, you can see some of the renders I was doing for Castleborn. And you can see there's a prompt associated with this. So there's a city made of gold, Atlantis, concentric rings around buildings towards a massive central tower. And what it does is, if I click on one of these, you can see it's trying its best to produce it with what it knows. So it's learnt off a battery of images, and it's all trying to like fit together what it knows, and moving pixels around and moving colors around and adding things in to try and get as close to what it thinks you're talking about. So sometimes it might not even know. I mean, for example, that space plane you saw, when I first started trying to get something out of MidJourney for that, it was coming out with mountain landscapes and all kinds of stuff. So there's a lot of training that you need to put into it to get something out that you want. But you can go a long way towards that by having good prompts. So you can see here, you can add additional things on top of the prompts. So pictured for above, old paper, color illustration, in the style of like pulp adventure models, some particular artists, with clouds and mountains, different colors, and all this kind of thing. And it'll try its best to produce it. Now, the way this works is it's actually just a Discord bot. So if you have Discord, you would just open Discord here. As you can see, there is a MidJourney Discord here you join to begin with, and in the newbies section, you can see a whole bunch of people trying out different things and different prompts. There's also another one, Prompt Craft. So it'll give you some examples of what works. So for example, like Tac AR as the aspect ratio of the image, so you can get like landscape photos and all sorts. And everybody's producing stuff in a different style. I think the AI learns what you like. So I've found that it uses the same color scheme quite a lot with the things that I produce. And it kind of moves closer and closer towards what you're after. So let me give you an idea of how this whole thing works. So for example, I don't know, let's think about something to do with Castleborn, for example, right? So I want to imagine, and it then brings up a prompt. So I want to imagine, what do I want to imagine? There we go. A great plane. Full of adventures and mystery. Their challenges, secrets, So normally I'll kind of start it out with just a bit of a phrase like that. Then you put 2 colons to separate out, so you saw how it was stacking up the different things. So now I'm stacking up something on top of that. So I want to say it's surrounded by the sea, grassland with a hint of desert, a great gnarl tree. Let's just say so you would normally say like in the style of, so in the style of, let's say, Picasso, because that was one of the ones in the prompt craft. Clouds. Oh no, blue skies. No clouds. You can actually put a tack in for this, I think it's no clouds. Aspect ratio of 69. You can do Q, so this means the quality, or like you can go anywhere from like 0.25 up to 5. So for example, like this is normally just the first one, so let's just say 2 is like okay to get started, because with what we're working on here, you want to get like the rough shapes and the outlines done first. You can go all in on doing, actually, do you know what, I'll put 1 for 5 and you see the amount of quality that comes out. But once that detail's locked in, it's locked in. So you kind of want to get the shapes and forms right, because otherwise you're ending up having to go through this initial generation lots and lots of times. And I'm going to put in stylize as well. Stylize, it's 20,000 as well. I'm hoping this works. I'm going to put 1 tack on that queue. Okay. Imagine prompt. There we go. Tack there. Okay, so now I've started a job, and it's in the process of generating what I've asked for. Let's see what comes out. So normally what you get is you get a grid of 4 like images to choose from. It'll start out really blurry and like sort of resolve itself bit by bit. And as you can see above, so when you do get these 4, you get all these options underneath. So each one of these is 1, 2, 3, 4. So these correspond to 1, 2, 3, 4, right? U means upscale, so it'll try and like add more detail and like keep the rough area, like the rough shapes it's got. Variations will give you like a little bit more like, oh, okay, I like the kind of look of this, but I don't really like the colors, or for example, so it'll try and do something different. And the first generation, you tend to get like some very different ones. Like here, we're getting some. There's a bit of consistency going on, which is good. But they are all 4 separate scenes. Now, as you can see, how many times I've been through asking for different generations. You can see here, but this is what one of the 5, one of the Q5, Q3 even comes out at. So that's like quite a lot of detail, considering I was trying to get to something like this. But you can see the number of times I've had to generate, and you can do like light upscale redo and detailed upscale redos, and like sort of edge your way closer towards what it is you want. But I just invested in the full package, so I can afford now to put as much time into generating as many as I want instead of feeling constrained. So they do 2 packages where the basic package is $12 a month. That gives you about 200 generations. I managed to burn through that in a day when I was doing the first Castleborn concept renders. But then it's $30, and that basically gives you like infinite. You can do whatever you want with it. So let's see. Here we go. Starting to see a little bit more detail here. There's like a little tree appearing here, some grassland and a bit of desert. Still quite some mountains off in the distance as well. Get some ocean coming in here. Not seeing much ocean in the other ones. So this is looking quite good right now. Let's keep an eye on that one. Yeah, and it basically means that we can produce art like way faster than I personally could in the past. I mean, like I built all those eggs by hand, and like, I know how hard it is to like go in and like do all the detailed work and like get everything like looking good. And I can appreciate why a lot of artists might feel intimidated by this. Like I know, for example, there are algorithms now that have been trained specifically on like singular artists, and these algorithms are able to produce something like, I mean, I know people say this is a problem, but the art that they do produce is still nowhere near the level of fidelity that the original artist could produce. But like people have been posting, like they've got concerns that like I was even trying to generate a watermark and things like that I use normally, and I can understand that in some basis. I can understand why people would feel threatened by that, considering the amount of work and time it does take to make original pieces of work. But I hope by seeing this and seeing the way that this whole thing's working, I don't think you've got anything to worry about. I think a lot of these pieces will stand out as a different way of making art. Like, there's still going to be a place for people that paint with actual, like, physical paints and oil paints, in the same way that when digital art came along and people were able to draw on an iPad, didn't get rid of that whole profession as well. Like, I think it's just an evolution of the medium. I think, yeah, I guess the issue is that it's maybe not free, but I mean, you have to pay for all the other tools you use, so I don't know. For me, I mean, I guess I've always adopted technology into the way I work and the way I create, like, pretty early on, because I just find it absolutely fascinating, and it's faster. It's just faster. Even if I use this as a baseline to then take into a graphics package and paint over, or I take details from what I'm making here, like just as I'm trying to ideate and develop like what it is that I actually want, that is just so much more powerful than like just sitting around trying to imagine a world that like isn't forthcoming, which means that it takes a lot longer, it takes a lot more mental effort while people are waiting for some development. We're getting pretty close now. I'm surprised the amount of detail here. I don't think I've run a style a 5 like straight off like this, but it's coming out quite well. Yeah, how's going to take the ocean out of all of them though? So this is kind of what I mean, like, so because I've gone in and put a Q5 in immediately, I'm getting all this detail out from the image that maybe I don't really want. Like, I've lost this little patch of ocean that was being developed here because it was keeping generating and doing its own thing on top of that. But there's some interesting stuff going on here. I'll try and upscale on 2. And what I'll do is I'll also do this whole thing again. But this time I'll put it as a Q2. So it'll be faster. And we'll get something. Oh, sorry. Slash imagine. There we go. And it'll be faster as well, because the amount of quality it puts in, it means it takes up more processing time. yeah, so we got some interesting stuff out here. So we got some cornflowers. Got that gnarled tree. So when you start doing upscaling, what it'll do is it'll normally take a step back from where it is and kind of blur the edges of where things are, and then start generating around those edges again to add more detail in. And this is looking pretty nice. I'm getting some like blades of grass coming out now. Man, this is great. So I guess the question becomes like, well, who's the artist here? Because I'm not painting this. I'm just directing how this AI artist creates. So, but then if you look in the terms and conditions, everything that I generate is mine. So I can sell this, I can do what I want with it, and that's my prerogative as to what I do with it. I mean, these look great. I mean, I could just stare at this stuff for hours. Like, I mean, it is a technological marvel that we are able to produce this quality of art by a generative algorithm now. What are we getting here? You got the oceans coming in? No ocean, unfortunately. I do like this. Some of the red coming through. So let's upscale 1. See what the deal is there. And then you just go through this process for hours, effectively. So, for example, I can get variations on this. So now I've upscaled it, and that'll kind of like create variations based on like the color, the shapes, the subjects, all this kind of thing. It seems to quite like putting these flowers and these like cornflowers in on top of a hill. It's almost like we're looking at the same scene but from a distance now. I like how it's really picked up on this gnarled tree. I mean, you're not limited by doing like professional art as well. So, for example, I don't know. So, let's say a pop vinyl figurine in the style of the, I don't know, the Undertaker from WWE. And see what this comes out with. And you can have all these jobs going on in the background. It just keeps going. They'll tell you when you've got enough going on. Yep. So you see, it's got the base model. It knows what a pop vinyl figurine is. This is just absolutely fascinating. Yep. It's getting it. Yep. Oh my god. So if you're doing product design as well, like you could have like everything designed and details ideated before you take anything to a 3D modeler, for example. I think that's one of the biggest issues I've had as well with speaking to 3D artists. Not with Castleborn. I think the guys we've spoken to that did all the dragons, they like absolutely nailed it. An artist called Ogden Arch. But there are other artists I've spoken to in the past where it's like you give them an idea of what you want, and then it doesn't really communicate properly. And like, I've tried giving them images and sketches, and they clearly just have a different creative idea about like what they like to create versus what I was after. So you can see it's got some stuff here. Here we go. The Undertaker there. We've got him in some packaging as well. Absolutely fascinating. So yeah, you can upscale that. You can go through the variations, but fundamentally, that is the long and short of it. The only thing is that everything that you produce is in public. So the only term of this whole thing is that everything that you produce is open for remixing. So anybody can download it. Anybody can check out the prompts. Anybody can copy job IDs to like get access to what you've done. So, I mean, some of these, I mean, this whole style of Sid Mead came from somebody else. I've been using that to help me develop this space plane. And I think there's a lot of what's going on with this whole thing. Is a lot of people learning from one another how to get good things out of this algorithm. So if you are an artist looking to use this, just bear that in mind. Like, if anything you do produce through it, anybody else can use. Which I think is a fair price to pay, to be honest. Like, it's honestly, I've been trying to get this out of my head for such a long time, and you can see all the little details and how it's all different, where I've like pushed it and pulled it here and there. Yeah, fabulous. Well, I hope that explains what MidJourney is and how to use it. Look forward on the Castleborn account to see more concept art further down the road. I mean, you can see here I've been looking into weapons and like designing Damascus steel. Was it a tastefully designed and functional meteorite Damascus steel longsword designed for speed and reach with a leather grip? So it definitely helps to be more specific, because you can get some really nice stuff out. So like, look at this here, absolutely phenomenal. It's not quite got what a full blade is yet, but I'm working on that. You've got to kind of train it. It doesn't really know what a straight blade is either. So I guess, yeah, have fun. I put the MidJourney bot inside of the Castleborn Discord. So you can check it out there. I'll leave a link to the Discord in the description so you can join. Have fun creating.